The author argues that the strategic partnerships are low-key alternatives to alliances, which have wider implications rather than enhancing security against a common enemy only. For instance, a part of security cooperation that is common among alliances, strategic partnership also depends on economic and ideological similarities between two countries making their partnerships. It should also be noted that even though both are security cooperation elements, its nature including reasons for enforcement is different. For example, the strategic when two countries forming partnerships are committed toward threatening each other security-wise. This is different from alliances, whose main driving forces are extended for the third party that imposes a common threat of a country forming on alliances. To this end, alliances are partnership according to the author are different. Although the AU's overlaps in many ways, especially on their security matters. The arguments contained within the work is that the author argues that his points by making several claims. First, he claims that the strategic partnerships are virtue of enhancing regional or security by providing a more formidable framework against a threatening third party. To this, the author cites that the threat to Japan and Australia that is caused by the rise of China's power in South China Sea. Japan and Australia have been shown again and again to be on the same side regarding territorial issues in the East China Sea. For instance, they both issue a joint statement opposing actions by China's territorial expansion to regions claimed by Japan. Wilkins also claimed that the strategic partnerships are meant to enhance partial security and defense operation. He defined this by showing that the Japan-Australia partnership is meant for facilitating the train and exercise, increasing personal exchanges, and deepening cooperation to human assistance and disaster relief, among others. To this, he pointed out the information sharing agreement between two countries that would enable them to conduct joint intelligence measures on matters of interest of both of them. For matters of interest, in this case, include DPRK's activities on the nuclear program, among others. Regarding the relationship between strategic partnerships and economic, the Wilkins point is to the influence of Australia on the economic growth of Japan. Wilkins quotes Togo, which observed that since the strategic partnership between Australia and Japan, trade and investments increased considerably. This increase in trade between the two countries even resulted in an economical partnership agreement, which according to the author, are core element of strategic partnership. We can also cite that the joint interest by Japan and Australia to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trading Agreement and their joint alarm when the Trump administration rejected that proposal. Further, the author claims that the strategic partnerships are virtue of preventing economic corruption. For instance, China is known for economic measures to coerce other nations into aligning with its own interests. This is especially possible due to its near monopoly in production. To counter China's power in correcting them into submission, Japan is supporting Australia's quest to extract rare earth minerals for which China is the biggest producer. Such measures enable the countries to dilute China's bargaining power and thus its corrective ability. On the ideological similarity as the element of strategic partnership, the author cites that the positive public perception of Japan by most Australians to drive its point home. Also, the author observed that the views of Australia and Japan on freedom, democracy, right, and human rights are similar. To this, the two countries hold prominent individual property rights, intellectual property, and transparency in governments and regulations. The author also notes that most strategic partnerships, such as Australia and India, are made by Japan and are with the aliens of USA. Thus, such partnerships are not meant to replace its aliens with the US. Rather, they act as a backup should support from the US to reduce the supplement or even reinforce the aliens. My critical analysis of the author's work. Through the article, the author makes it clear that the structured partnerships are not similar to aliens. To this end, it devoted different subsections to explain how structured partnerships are essential in non-security matters. For instance, he explained the essence of structured partnership on economic matters such as trade element and the ideological element in structured partnerships. Also, the author seems to imply that the aliens are more influential than structured partnerships in blinding two countries toward action. In the case of Japan and Australia, Japan only involves itself in strategic partnerships with countries that the allies of US. As such, its action seems to be bound by aliens. Further, the author outlines the speculation by various analyses that a strong convergence of interests and values between Japan and Australia may lead to the signing of a formal aliens treaty. Thus, the partnership seems to be the lesser form of cooperation between aliens and the structured partnerships. Regardless, Wilkins seems to imply that security-related factors are the most prominent in structured partnerships, just like aliases. They also promise non-security matters as mentioned earlier. As in evidence of this, Wilkins spends a larger portion of our paper discussing security elements of structured partnerships, which are such as important in traditional and non-traditional security matters. He mentions that such partnerships enable Japan to be at the center of Australia's security network. In other process, it leads to the creation of hub and spoke security system, where Japan is once again a security hub are not 100% depends on the US. Since this structured partnership is driven by security measures, just like aliens, it seems like a low replacement of the aliens. For instance, as Wilkins mentioned that some scholars between the former aliens security between Japan and Australia is imminent. Such treaty, in my opinion, may mark the end of Japan's dependence of the US. Now let's go into some discussion questions. First, when someone mentions that some two countries are in a structured partnership, what comes into your mind? Second, what if Japan and Australia formalize their agreement by signing an aliens treaty? What do you think will Japan considering Japan's aliens to the US? Third, Wilkins mentioned that different countries have entered into different numbers of strategic partnerships. For instance, the EU has 10, India has more than 20, while China has close to 50 strategic partnerships. Why do you think some countries enter into many strategic partnerships while others only new? while others options are only a few. While others options only a few.